What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another exclusive interview. This one is very special to me, very near and dear to my heart. Today, I am with, whether you know her from WWE as Gigi Dolin or you know her like I do as Priscilla Kelly, I am here today with Hell's favorite, Priscilla Kelly. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm preparing for a huge weekend of wrestling, and I have a lot coming up this month. So I've been all over the place. I've been super busy. I got a lot to talk about, and I haven't done an interview since my one with Soraya. So this is the first one in a hot minute.
Well, I am completely honored to be your first one in a hot minute. I do appreciate that. I did want to share your story a little bit, though. I wanted to learn more about you and what made you want to get into this crazy world of professional wrestling. And so my first question is, when and why did you first really get into pro wrestling growing up, whether it be as a kid or a teenager?
Yeah, I was probably around that 11. No, I wasn't. I was like 12, 13. And my brother was obsessed with pirates, and I found an Undertaker action figure. He thought it was a pirate, so we got it for him. He became obsessed with the Undertaker action figure, like had to take it everywhere, very like compulsive about it. And for I ended up getting him the 20 DVD set for Christmas, and we didn't have cable at the time, so we just binge watched that DVD set, and then we ended up buying more DVD sets, like, just random WrestleMania. Like, we just ended up going down the rabbit hole of wrestling, and we fell in love with it. Our first introduction to wrestling, obviously, of the big ones like the Hulk Hogan's and the Macho Man's, but our first introduction as fans to wrestling was that 20 DVD set. So Taker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Giant Gonzalez, like that was our introduction to wrestling. And we fell in love. We became obsessed. We went to WrestleMania 30, which was heartbreaking because the Undertaker lost that year.
Okay.
It was horrible. When we got home, my brother took all his Brock Lesnar action figures and grinded the face of them into the cement. It was very violent. But anyways, we had my brother's birthday party at a local wrestling company called NWA Atlanta, and I was like, I want to do this. I was only freshly 16, I think. And they were like, you can start training. So I started training, and here I am 11, 12 years later, something like that.
Wow, that's an awesome story because I feel like pro wrestling is so important to so many people, and it brings families together too. Like, you bond with your brother over it, you bond with people over it, whether it be friends, family. So it's awesome to see like the impact that it has on everybody, whether it be enjoying people you love or hating people you hate.
Yeah.
And I did want to ask you too, when you first got into it, was there anyone who inspired you to want to become a professional wrestler and want to, kind of model yourself off of them?
It really, honestly, so like I said, my first introduction to wrestling was Taker and Shawn and Triple H and really all the guys on that DVD set. But like obviously those are like the biggest like standouts because I mean Shawn was so untouchable, and Triple H was so captivating, and the entrances, like my goal was like I never will, but I always wanted to make people feel the way Taker made people feel when that bell rang, and his entrance and the smoke and all the theatrics that go into it. The hair stands up on your arms, like everybody goes quiet in a good way because they're just captivated. Like that's what I wanted to bring out of people. So the Undertaker was a big inspiration. Shawn had a lot of I had a lot of inspiration from Shawn because his kind of style, and even though I'm a little bit more of a spooky, like not spooky, but I'm a little bit more of like an alternative style. Some of my theatrics and my movements and my accessories were inspired by Shawn a lot back in the day. And my first introduction to like women wrestlers was women like Beth Phoenix and Kelly and Sable, who is freaking incredible. So it was just like when you see women doing it on such a grand stage as a girl, it makes you feel like I could do this. Even though I didn't really believe in myself, I was like, they're like, girls are doing this on like WrestleMania stage. Like I could do this. So I mean, I didn't have like that one person that was like, I want to model myself after this person, but it was kind of the love for all of it, with mainly the Undertaker, but it was a mix of everything and inspiration and motivation from all these different characters in wrestling, I guess.
100%. And when the time came for you that you're like, I'm going to go in all in on this, and you decided you wanted to start training, when and why did you make that decision, and how has it impacted your life going forward at that time?
So like when I grew up very in a strict household. My parents were very, very old school. Like my family didn't really believe in women getting jobs. Like they believed women should be, housewives, mothers, the kind of like typical gender role of a woman. And there's nothing really wrong with that. But I just, I knew from a very young age that I was different from everyone else in the family. And I kind of was treated that way. I was a little bit of the weirdo black sheep, if you will. So when I started wrestling, it was already a little bit of a taboo in my family to join this wrestling. Like, this is for boys. Like, what are you doing? But it kind of just started as a hobby that I was able to get away with doing, because I wasn't allowed to do sports. I was a kid that stayed home, played video games. I wasn't an athlete. I didn't do any kind of I didn't do anything prior to wrestling. So it was like wrestling was the first thing that I was allowed to do. And my parents kind of thought of it as like, oh, it's just a little hobby, like something for her to do, keep her busy. And then it kind of turned into, oh, shoot, like I'm actually getting pretty good at this. I'm getting booked at some like pretty cool places. And it got to a point where some of my family was like, so when are you going to wrap this wrestling thing up and like settle down, get married, have kids? And I'm like, no, like I'm getting to see like other states only at that time it was other states and stuff. And it kind of just developed. It was like, I had no intention of becoming a big wrestling star that makes a living off of this. It really was something I enjoyed, and it was my way of breaking out of that strict upbringing. And it kind of snowballed from there, and I accidentally became successful with something that I never in a million years believed in myself enough to be successful in.
For sure. And, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say thank you for sticking with it and getting into it, because you have left your mark and you're still going. And it's been awesome to be a fan of yours now for, I want to say, close to like 6-7 years. I've been following your career since before WWE even. So it's been a lot of fun. But I also did want to ask you, when you did start training, was there any mentors who you went to for advice, or that took you under their wing and you worked with them to become who we see before us today?
Yeah. So when I very, very, very first started, I actually was introduced into the building. I was introduced into the business by a wrestler named Tyson Dean. He was kind of more of a local Georgia scene wrestler, and then I actually moved over to Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, which is now what I claim to be my home promotion. I went to a show. It was kind of a smaller show. I think it was their first ever show that they were running. But I stayed all the way until the end of the show, and I helped clean up. I helped tear down. I waited until almost everybody left the building just to meet who was running the show. And that's where I met Josh Wheeler, and I met Murder One, and I met Jimmy Rave. And they kind of, I guess they appreciated that I went through the effort to like stay the whole time and like, pick up and do whatever I had to do just to talk to them. And I ended up training with Murder One in Cornelia, Georgia. Is that where we started training? Way out in Georgia, middle of nowhere. Like it was a 2.5-hour drive every day. And Josh Wheeler, who was the promoter of Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, God bless him. He would drive, if you know anything about Georgia, which you probably don't, but other people might, Atlanta's in the middle. I lived in McDonough, which is at the time I lived there, and it's like an hour, it's like 45 minutes south of Atlanta with traffic. And then where we were training was on the other side of Atlanta by like another hour and a half. And then with traffic. So Josh would drive from Atlanta down to McDonough, pick me up, drive me 2 hours to go train. We'd finish at like 9, 10 o'clock at night and then drive me all the way back home. Because I was the first female trainee of Murder One. And Jimmy Rave was a very big help in my training as well, and kind of shaping me into the wrestler I am now. And those are really the guys that, if it was not for them, I would not be a wrestler right now. I would not be here. At the time, there weren't that many schools as there is now. At the time, all there was a couple small ones, and Mr. Hughes was running WWA 4 in Atlanta. That's all the options there were. So without Murder One and Josh Wheeler and Jimmy Rave, Priscilla would not exist.
It's really awesome to think about, because obviously I remember indie wrestling. I didn't do it in like 2014. The amount of schools compared to now, it's so different. Like there was like, and even I live in New York, so like it's always been a hotbed here because New York is like just a busier area, I guess. But even schools like are popping up like left and right that I see here that I have not seen like last year. So yeah. It's really come such a long way, and it's awesome to just be a part of and be a fan of the current growth of indie wrestling. So from your eyes and from your standpoint as well, how has it been seeing the growth of indie wrestling in Georgia and these schools popping up and more chances for people to learn?
It's definitely insane because when I started, it was such a different place. And the women that started before me, it was such a different place for them. Like, it's just crazy how, in these like 5-year spurts, how much wrestling will change. And 5 to 10 years from now, it'll be completely different again. Because when I started, it was very much that old school training. It was very much you had to pay your dues. You were working for free 90% of the time. You were doing drives. I could say this now because I can't get in trouble after the fact, but I didn't have a license. I didn't even have glasses because I couldn't afford them and I needed them. I couldn't see. I didn't have a license. And 90% of the time, I was the one driving all the way through the night from state to state, making sure the boys got to their next show. And I, half the time, didn't know if I was going to be booked, didn't know if I was going to get paid. I was just showing up to get my name out there. And it was very much a different grind back then. And I'm sure some people still do that. But I think now there's a little bit more of an expectation with young wrestlers. And, you know, they come right out of the gate, like, expecting money and expecting bookings and expecting flights. I didn't get flights for a long time. It was all driving state to state, driving 15 hours to New York and jumping in cars with sweaty guys and not getting to shower for days. And it was so different. And just to get your foot in the door somewhere, you would really have to like pay your dues and stick your neck out there and show up time and time and time again just to be considered. So where it is now is so different, because there's so many good schools, and some of these kids are coming right out of their school being great wrestlers. Like back in my day, it sounds old, but back in my day, you didn't come out of training great. You came out and, you know, you had to work with whoever you could work with to try to get better, because there wasn't a lot of other great schools putting out a lot of really great talent. You had to wrestle with whoever was around, and sometimes that meant the blind leading the blind. Like me, fresh out of like training, sometimes would have to wrestle people that had no idea what they were doing. And in this business, you can only get better if you're working people that are better than you. So I think a lot of people now have the opportunity to get better at a more rapid rate than back in my day. Because I'll tell you this, I sucked for a very, very long time. I sucked, and I'm still figuring this out. So, it's just the bar has been raised so much in 10 years. And the opportunities to back in my day, if you went to WWE, that was like almost unheard of as an indie wrestler. I remember when Gargano and Ciampa and Adam Cole, like those guys, when they went to NXT, that was a big deal because it wasn't every day that you saw these indie darlings go to a TV company. You didn't really see, or WWE, you didn't really see that. So it was really special to be able to do that. But now it's still special, but with AEW and all of their products, and then TNA and WWE and all of their product, like there's so much TV wrestling now that it's still special to wrestle on TV, but there's so much more opportunity where it was such a slim kind of pickings for where you were going to go and what you were going to do. But because of that, I feel like the independent scene was a bigger deal back then. I don't know.
Oh yeah, as an indie fan, I love the indie wrestling scene because I know up in New York, it's crazy to think about because there's really never, I don't want to say there's ever really been a downtime here because there's just been so much going on, like to the point where it gets to be like, is there too much sometimes? And then it's interesting to see how it varies based off state because I was working with Amira not too long ago from the Pacific Northwest. She's fantastic. And she was saying that people from the Pacific Northwest are still trying to like put their name out there and get their name out there from like Oregon and that area. Not so much California because you have Prestige, but you know, if you look at the Pacific Northwest, like seeing people try to grow and seeing people like Amira try to grow, it's really interesting to see, honestly.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up your time with WWE. What was it like getting signed there and learning under the likes of Shawn Michaels, Matt Bloom, all the other great coaches in the Performance Center as well?
Going to WWE was such a culture shock for me. I did the Mae Young Classic, but that was like a one and done tournament. I wasn't in the system. So when I came to NXT full time, it was such a shock to my routine because I was this, snotty little indie wrestler that would work my ass off for like 3 to 4 days most weeks and then come home and sleep for the rest of the week. So to go into this machine of it's basically a 9 to 5. The schedule is a grind and it's every single day working out at a set scheduled time, training at a set scheduled time every single day, and then you have TV, and then you have live events, and then you have promo classes. You have to send in your promos through their websites for the performance set. Like there's so much little stuff that goes into it. I mean, even like some of the media classes, like there's so much that is in that machine that is NXT. So to go from this young kid indie wrestler to this wrestling machine of a job, it was an adjustment for me. I was so sore those first few months adjusting to training and working out and wrestling that much. So it was a little bit of shock, but I felt like I really grew to love everybody there at the Performance Center, especially the coaches. Me and Matt Bloom, he's the head coach, and when I first got there, man, did we butt heads. But I think it's because I'm a little bit less of I don't always wear my emotions on my face. I'm a little bit more monotone and I'm a little bit quieter. I'm a little bit to myself. And sometimes that can read a little wrong. So I think it took me and Matt a little while to figure each other out. But once him and I did get to that point where we figured out each other's personalities, he really was the person that got me through some of my hardest days and motivated me to keep working my ass off half the time, because deep down he was always rooting for me from the very start. So I really appreciated Matt Bloom and just him always being there to kind of like give me that kick in the ass to keep going, keep working harder, even when I maybe had my self-doubts at times, which comes with working there. It does for everybody. And just so many of the coaches were so wonderful to be able to have the honor of training underneath, like Terry Taylor and Fit Finley. Johnny Moss was my trainer for most of my time in NXT. I bounced around. I went from, Terry, and I trained with Fit. I trained with Sarah Amato, Brian Kendrick when he was there. But for the main part of my time there, I was with Johnny Moss, who is absolutely incredible. He actually became kind of like a dad figure to me because he just, he makes you feel like you're not just another trainee. And he really, I don't know, he kind of got me into that second gear when it came to my wrestling. Um, but really everybody that I worked with there I had a very good relationship. And I kind of talked about this before, but when you lose your job somewhere, especially somewhere like WWE, um, and there were ups and downs. I went through a bad depression phase while working there, and I went through a lot emotionally working there. I did. But at the end of the day, the relationships you make, you're spending day in and day out with these people for years. You become very, very close with some people. And the hardest part was going from seeing these coaches and people that have been in my life every day, uh, seeing them every day for years, to not seeing them at all, cold turkey. That's it. I mean, yeah, I could see them in public, but once you're outside that WWE bubble, you're outside that bubble.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm grateful for my time there. And I think I learned a lot about wrestling, but not only wrestling, but myself. Uh, but I'm really grateful for the relationships I got to have and the incredible, incredible coaches that I got to work with.
And I would also be remiss if I didn't bring up your time in one of my favorite groups in NXT history, Toxic Attraction with Mandy Rose and JC Jane. How much
Hmm.
fun was that for you to work with both of them? Because it seemed like you guys were really finding your way, which was awesome to see from a fan standpoint. Like, you guys were killing it on the NXT Women's Division. You were running that division. You won the tag team championships twice. I don't know if the second time was with JC. I know one was, though. But what was that like for you working with them?
It, I feel like it definitely was when the idea was first pitched. I was definitely a little skeptical because I didn't feel like the three of us really looked like we would be in a group together, because I was the like kind of weirdo, like punky whatever, and JC, I don't know what she was, and then like Mandy was always Mandy Rose. So it was like, how's this gonna work? And I think it is one of those things where it accidentally became a very, very popular thing that just clicked and just worked. And um, I think for whatever reason, like we ruled NXT for like a full 2 years. It was Toxic Attraction's show. So it was really cool to. I was only maybe 6 months into my time at NXT before I got put in that group, and so to kind of just take off right out of the gate with something that blew up so fast as it did, it was really cool to kind of like, go from I just got here to holy crap, I'm like the women's tag champion now, and I'm on everything. It sucks that NXT wasn't traveling at that time because of COVID, because man, if NXT would have been on the road the way it is now, going state to state, working in these bigger arenas at the time of Toxic Attraction, it would have been really cool to see what we could have done with that as a group, because we didn't really get that opportunity until right there at the tail end when we started traveling more. But that's the only thing that really sucked about it.
Yeah, it was such a fun group to watch from a fan standpoint. It just was awesome to see three women kind of running the show, which was kind of unheard of at the time in a way. And I'm not throwing shade at WWE and how they kind of booked their shows, but a lot of times it was the men getting, the main event spots. And Mandy Rose and you guys came in and you were like, yeah, no, we run NXT now, and no one disagreed because you guys absolutely crushed it. So how important was your time, would you say, with Attraction to NXT in like the scheme of things?
I mean, that's basically what put me on NXT's map. Um, I mean, sure, I could have been a singles competitor, but with wrestling, sometimes if you come into a foreign space, such as a new company or a new roster, and you're by yourself, it's very sink or swim, and there's no in between. And there's always the chance that I could have just fell into the mix of everybody else. So to be put into a group like that took off with Mandy Rose, it was a big deal because it gave me that platform to basically bloom into the star that I am now. So really without that, who knows how different my career would have went. And I'm sure I would have been successful either way, but I think that kind of like just set me to the trajectory of like just going up from there. And Mandy was always a really good guidance coming from the main roster, and she had done so much big stuff in her career. And Mandy was almost like big sister, and I don't have any sisters, so she was almost like that big sister role. She was always like kind of like helping me become the better, more elevated, more mature version of myself. Because when I went to NXT, I was I think I was 24. I might have been 23, but anyway, 23, 24. So anyways, that's super young. And I just came from the indies. I didn't come from other TV companies. I had worked for AEW. I had worked for a couple other like smaller TV companies, but this was the biggest scale thing that I had done. So having Mandy there for a lot of these big matches and big opportunities that it was my first time doing, she kind of like helped guide me in that way.
100%. And I had to ask you too, JC Jane has been on a great run in NXT. What's your opinion been just seeing her win the NXT Women's Championship, winning the TNA Knockouts Championship, and just seeing everything she's been able to accomplish?
Well, I'm happy for her.
Yeah, it seems like that's like the new version of Toxic Attraction, but I really loved you guys, I will say. I know Fatal Influence. I love Val and Henley, and I think that they're all great. They're all killing it for sure, but I really enjoyed the work you guys did together. So much congratulations for everything that you guys accomplished.
Thank you. It was a ride.
And I had to ask you too, because this was beginning to be one of my favorite NXT factions that we were kind of starting to see. And then it just kind of got shut down for some reason. You're working with Tatum Paxley and Shotzi for a little bit. That was such a fun trio because you guys complemented each other so well. What was it like working with them, and where did it like, I don't want to say where did it go wrong, because from a fan standpoint, it looked great on TV. I loved it, but it just seemed like maybe the higher ups, I guess, in NXT weren't getting behind it. I'm not too sure, but it was a lot of fun from what we saw.
You know, so I wanted to work with Shotzi before I got injured, and she got injured at the same time. So for whatever reason, the universe did not want it happening right then. But we wanted to work together before both of us were injured the year prior. And when we both got cleared, we were like, hey, we really want to work together. We have ideas. And then they ended up putting Tatum with us, and it just worked. And I will say, like, the stuff that I did with Shotzi and Tatum was the happiest I ever was in NXT. It was the most excited, happy, the most myself that I was in my entire time working for WWE. Because Shotzi's like my best friend, and Tatum quickly became a very good friend of mine, and we all just had great chemistry together. We had a great look. I felt like we were something so unique, and not just unique, but we were so genuine about who we were. We weren't people playing a role of a character or a look or an aesthetic. We were what we portrayed. And I don't really know what happened, to be honest. We started out hot, and we were having like really good, like high tier matches, and I really just don't know. Sometimes it's one of those things where first of all, it's always out of our hands as wrestlers. Unless you're somebody that's very, very high up on the totem pole, it's always out of our hands creatively. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good of a thing you have going or how bad of a thing you got going. it's all depending on how you're booked, because you could be absolutely horrible, but if you're booked like a star, people are going to believe you're a star. And you could be the best thing in the world, but if you're booked like shit, then people are just going to believe that you're shit. It's all perception. And we tried to kind of just make the most with whatever we were given, and it sucks because we were on a very high note right at the end. Me and Tatum, Shotzi came ringside with us. We were at Stand and Deliver. We won our Stand and Deliver match. We got a title match with Liv and Raquel for the following Tuesday. We were doing stuff in TNA. We were crushing it, and I was like, "This is it. We're going to the main roster. This is it. Like there's no way. Like we're so undeniable as a group. Like I don't know how anybody could see this and not think that it could be huge." And then I went from that high of like Stand and Deliver, title match with Liv and Raquel, a like title match at TNA, to, hey, WWE is terminating your contract. So it's very confusing. Like us as wrestlers, a lot of people think like we have control over stuff. A lot of people think like that we screwed up backstage. We did like a lot of people have so much to say, but the truth is like sometimes it just is what it is. Sometimes it just happens. There's nothing we can do about it, but pick ourselves up and move on.
That's what sucks, I think, the most too is the fan reaction you guys were getting on social media and in person, which is important to note. It wasn't just social media and it wasn't just in person, it was both. You guys were like one of the hottest groups in NXT at the time. And just, I think it came as a shocker to everybody just to see like how they just decided to like cut the group. And it just goes to show, like you said, it kind of is how you're booked. Like, and the people don't get behind your group, or whether it's you or any other people, I'm saying in NXT or AEW, or TNA or anywhere. I guess that's all it matters is the booking of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we saw what happened. You did get released. Was that kind of a blindside for you, or were you kind of expecting it? And what went through your mind when you found out?
I definitely wasn't expecting it. If I would have got released like a couple years prior, when I was super depressed and I had given up on myself and I didn't believe in myself and I put on some weight, and if I would have got released during that time, I would have been like, okay, this makes sense. Like I get it. But I got released when I felt like I was at the highest point of my time in NXT. I felt like we were doing awesome stuff. I felt like I was just really back to who I was. I felt like myself again. Like I said, I felt like myself for the first time in a very, very long time with Shotzi and Tatum and what we were doing. And like I said, we were having title matches. We were projected and we were being told that we were potentially going to the main roster after Mania. We were told that. So to get released was a complete shock. And the timing of it made no sense to me because of what we were doing, because of what we had been doing for the last 4 or 5 months. I don't know. It just, it's one of those things where some people like they expect it or whatever. I was at like a very peak time personally, and it really sucks that it got cut short and we didn't get the opportunity to see what it would have been like to go to the main roster as a group. And but I came from the indies, so I bounced right back. The indies, I did everything before. I did Japan, I did all the countries and traveled, and so I'm used to the grind of the indies, and I'm used to the differences that there are. So I mean, I went right back really easily. And honestly, where I'm at now, I just feel free, and I'm very happy. I'm not. There's a lot of stress that comes with working for WWE. It just comes with the territory, and just not having that weight on my shoulders and that stress every day. It's such a relief, and I'm just having fun now.
Yeah. And I think we could tell that by watching your matches, especially as of late, because your match with Zachary Wentz, which we'll get to very, very shortly. Loved it. the second time around. I know the first time you had the knee issue, but I clarified on PW Ponderings. I put the article out. Not an injury. It was you had hurt your knee. It's something you deal with, your whole life. You had put out there. But to the fans who are kind of jumping on board on your indie run this time around, who might not have been around in the beginning before WWE, what are you looking to prove to not just them, but to everybody who it seems like we see a new Priscilla Kelly before us now, not the same one that we saw on the indies 5-6 years ago,
Yeah, I'm definitely the Priscilla that I am now. It's that young girl that was on the indies before mixed with the young girl that was Gigi Dolin in WWE. It's like if those two came together and created the evolved version of me. Because I am collectively a collection of who I was prior to WWE. I'm a collection of who I was during WWE. I'm a collection of my struggles within WWE and also my successes from WWE. So I am a collection of all of these different versions of myself. And now I feel like I'm still that young girl, but I am now the matured version. I've grown. I am a lot more secure of like who I am, who I want to be, and what I want to do. I don't feel like for a long time in my career, during and before WWE, I felt like I was constantly chasing something, like never quite knowing what I was chasing, but I was chasing it. And I feel like now I'm not necessarily chasing anything, but I'm just trying to just enjoy what I'm doing in the moment now. And now I just want to connect with fans, and I want to have fun, and I want to just do what makes me happy in the moment. And sometimes that's having the most hard match of my career, or sometimes that's doing something goofy to get a reaction from the fans that night. And I think this version of me makes me the happiest because I'm no longer trying to fill somebody else's idea of what I should be. And even on the indies before, I always felt like I was trying to be what people thought I should be, or what I thought I should be, instead of just letting things happen organically. So I think I'm like the more put together version.
And in your return to the indies, we saw you and Zachary Wentz. I'd be remiss if I didn't bring him up. You guys went at it twice. The first time, unfortunately, was cut short. The second time, great match. We loved it. How much fun is it working with Wentz? And how did you guys meet? And tell me about like how that relationship came about.
We met. Oh my God! We met probably like 10 years ago at a CZW show, I think. He remembers it a lot more vividly than I do. I don't really remember because I was driving 15 hours to go to CZW. So when I got there, I was like exhausted and I was like only 18, I think. So I might have been younger. I might have been 17. But that's where we first met. And then I'd worked a lot of shows with him throughout the years on the indies, and obviously we ran NXT together. So he's kind of always just been around. And we had a lot in common. He was into a lot of the same bands as me and has kind of the same personality. And I guess I can tell the story then. So one of my best friends was like, hey, we should like invite over Zach and like have a little like listen to some music, and we should just party, have some drinks, listen to music, whatever. And we ended up singing emo songs till like 4 a.m. and Yellow Card started playing, Ocean Avenue, and he gave me that little smirk, and he leaned in and he'll say I kissed him, but no, he leaned in and kissed me, and we've literally hung out every day since. And it's crazy how time flies, but it's been like almost 4 years, and God, we were like attached at the hip. Like I'll literally go in the other room for a couple minutes to do something, and he'll be like, what are you doing? Come in here. What, can I hang out with you? And it's the same thing like with him. Like if he goes he goes in the other room to do something, I'm like the same way. It's it's not like it's not unhealthy. We just genuinely enjoy being around each other. We're genuinely best friends. Like, we like to do the same stuff and we like the same things. So we're just best friends that hang out every single day. Like, that's our relationship.
That's awesome, and I love seeing you guys work together too, because the chemistry you guys have in real life, I think, translates over to the ring very well, and we saw that firsthand in the Jerry Lynn Invitational during the first round of that event, Pro Wrestling Revolver. Great show. What was it like working with him, like in the wrestling ring as well?
First of all, he gets very sweaty in the ring. I'll tell you that. We like didn't even lock up yet, and he was drenched. But no, it was a lot of fun. Like, him and I, we're very much the same when it comes to, like, not our style of wrestling, but how we see wrestling spots and matches, and like how we feel the flow of a match should go. So it was super easy, and it was super fun, and I definitely beat the hell out of him. He was covered in chop marks after the match, the poor guy. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and but obviously, like, we do have good chemistry, and we love each other, we're best friends. But when I wrestled him, there was that side of me that's like, I'm wrestling Zachary Wentz. Like, I was really nervous because I'm like, we're talking like PWG, TNA Rascal, Zachary Wentz. Like, and to him, I don't know, he's probably just like, oh, I'm just wrestling my fiance. But to me, I'm like, holy shit, like, this is a high caliber match. So for me, I was a little nervous, and I think him and I should just have more matches across the entire world. But we want a tag team now. That's what we really want to do. It's just kind of hard to get booked as a tag team.
If you guys were a tag team, what would be a fun name? You guys have a name in mind?
Hot Potion.
Ooh, I like that.
Hot
That's
Potion.
A good one.
Yeah, we've definitely played with some ideas, but we gotta just start tagging. I think we have it. We have a tag match booked for Blitzkrieg Pro. When is that? Is that October?
11th.
I want to say that. Yeah, October 11th. We're tagging at Blitzkrieg Pro.
Versus Charles Mason. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's your mindset looking into that one, heading out into that one?
I'm so sick of Charles Mason. Oh my God, this man does nothing but run his mouth on Twitter all day long and all night. Oh my God, like, Charles, figure it out, buddy. All you do is talk shit on the internet. God. But I beat him. I beat him in my match, so I'm excited to see how this tag match goes, because honestly, me and Zach should, like, double Bronco Buster him and make him pay for his crimes.
And he is going to have a mystery partner. You don't know who that is going to be, but does that weigh into your mind at all?
A little bit, because I really don't know, like, who would they put, like, who would be with Charles Mason, you know what I mean? Because he's so weird. Like, who would want to tag with Charles Mason? He's so weird. And he's, like, scary, but not in, like, a ooh way. He's, like, scary, like, he's scary like someone that just got out of prison.
Yeah. He really scary guy. He's the House of Glory world champion too. Got to give him credit for that. And speaking of House of Glory, oh sorry.
No, I'm just gonna say, as much as I don't care for Charles Mason, I will say he is very, very talented, and he has one of the coolest characters in wrestling right now. I will say that.
I love his character. I love those darker characters. I'm a fan of, even though not, like, I wouldn't say darker, but, like, characters like your character from WWE with Shotzi and Tatum and that whole group. I like the Wyatt Six, obviously, like those types of characters, like that aren't just a stereotypical, like, indie scene biker character. Like, there's so many of them. But speaking of House of Glory, I'd be remiss. Let's talk about your upcoming weekend. that starts on Thursday, which isn't really a weekend day, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
Well,
yeah, House of Glory versus Shotzi. What's going through your mind heading into that one?
well, I tried to talk some sense into her at the last House of Glory show. She jumped Indy Hartwell, who I was facing that night, and I tried to talk some sense into her, and she sucker punched me, and it kind of became a thing from there. And the thing is, since she came to the Indies, she's went after this indie god title, and she's kind of got this where she's more full of herself and she thinks she's better than everybody kind of thing. So I'm I think my goal tomorrow is to try to knock some sense into her and make her remember who she is. And not that she's not incredible, but she needs to get off her high indie god horse and she needs to get slapped around a little bit. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna whoop her green ass. Um, I'm also facing her again at the end of September back out in Arizona. She's trying to come for my Arizona championship. So I'm whooping her ass coast to coast.
And also, following House of Glory, you're going to be in a massive winner take all match with Giselle Shaw at Maple Leaf Pro. What can we expect from that one?
Giselle is a whole different league of an opponent. She really brings it. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this match takes it up a notch from our last match that we just had at Destiny. So I'm really excited. It's a big caliber match. It's a winner takes all. So I could walk away with 2 titles. I already have 2 other titles, so I could walk away with 4 championships total, but I could walk away with 2 titles, including the one that I currently hold. So it's a super high caliber match. Giselle really, really, really takes it to the limit, and she makes you step it up, like when you're in the ring with her. So it's definitely going to be one to see. I'm really excited for it, and to me, that's probably the biggest match of the weekend for me.
Yeah. But your weekend does not end there. You will be competing at Mall of America with First Wrestling. What's your mind heading into that one? I'm not too sure if your match was announced yet, so I do not want to spoil anything. But looking at the show, competing at Mall of America, what's your mindset?
So I don't know my opponent yet for that show, but First Wrestling used to be sort of a little home for me back in the day. WrestlePalooza was one of my favorite shows to ever be on, and those crowds, they're absolutely awesome. They're just so electric, and they really connect to everybody there at first. So I'm really excited to go back and see if I see any familiar faces, and it's such a fun show to be on. It always is. And I've never been to the Mall of America, so I'm really excited about that. And yeah, it's a mystery opponent for me because I don't know who I'm facing yet.
So looking ahead for you past this weekend into the next few months, next year, however long, what are your future goals? Do you have any future goals lined up or future opponents you'd like to share the ring with?
Right now, I'm going wherever the wind takes me. Like, my goal that I set for myself after I got released was I just want to have fun. I just want to have fun again, because for a long time I wasn't having fun and I was really stressed out. Like I said, I went through a lot of depression and stuff in WWE from time to time. So I'm just ready to have fun. I'm ready to do whatever falls into my lap, and I just want to work my ass off, but have fun doing it. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been busting my ass. I've been booking myself up. I mean, my calendar is like constantly full. This past month I was only home maybe 1 or 2 days a week in the last month or two, and it's a grind. I'm exhausted, I'm beat up, but I love it and I'm having more fun than ever. So right now I'm just happy to do whatever. I'm going back to Japan in a couple weeks, so it's like stuff like that, And I think like living in the present moment, like obviously I'm taking bookings months in advance, but just living in the moment and not really worrying too much about what's next, it's kind of the best way to be. I think a lot of times everybody's always worried about the what's next, that they don't ever just sit back and enjoy what's currently happening. Even some of my greatest accomplishments in WWE, it was always okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? And I never slowed down to just enjoy what was happening right then. So that's what I'm trying to do now.
That's very respectable because then it's awesome to see because a lot of times people who I've seen that do get released from WWE, they kind of, I don't want to say go into panic mode in a way, but sometimes they do go into panic mode. And
Hmm.
it's awesome to see people just, taking it one step at a time, just, enjoying life because that's the most important thing. That really is.
Hmm.
And so my final question, it's a fun one. I don't know how you're going to answer it. There's no wrong answer. So what is one thing that fans don't know about you but would pop if they found out?
Oh, Zach would probably answer this better than I would. I don't know. Something. I'm like super. I'm like a super open book usually. So I think I'm like people know almost everything about me. Something- I don't know. Oh my God. You should have asked me this at the beginning and then let me think about it the whole interview.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a good idea.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that they would pop if they found out. Uh,
I know you love the horror movies and stuff too. So like that's a big thing that like you're a
I
big horror.
do, but people know that, so it's not like it wouldn't like shock anybody. Um, yeah, I don't know.
All right,
I like NASCAR.
that's cool though.
Um, yeah. I don't know. That is a really hard question because like I said, people know a lot about me. So to say something that would like kind of like shock people or pop people, like I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Is, is there any final message you have to anyone who might be watching this or reading this on the website about like where they can follow you and any final message just in general?
Yeah, I'm on almost everything as Hell's Favorite Harlot or Hell's Favorite. No. Hell's Favorite PK. That's my username on X, on YouTube, TikTok. I don't really use TikTok because I suck at it. Instagram, I'm in the process of changing my username. It's still Gigi Dolin underscore WWE. Hopefully, I can get that changed soon because so many fans are like, why aren't you changing your name? You know how lame it is that you're still using WWE in your name. Like, I get so much shit for having that as my name. I can't do anything about it. Instagram won't let me change it for whatever reason. Yes, I've tried everything. Yes, it's not because I'm verified. It's just everyone on the internet needs to trust me when I say I'm working on it and no, there's no other thing I can do about it right now. So I do post vlogs on my YouTube. That's kind of like my current little project I'm working on right now is I'm vlogging. It's a lot of behind the scenes. It's a lot of the ups and downs of the indies, the really good, the really bad, the really gross and weird and exhausted and beat up. Like it's a little bit of everything. I recommend going out, checking out my vlogs, throw them on while you're cleaning the house or cooking dinner. I try to post them at least once every 2 weeks. They take a long time to edit and I'm very busy. But so go check that out. And I usually post all of my upcoming bookings on my social media. So go check all of that out as well.
Well, I appreciate your time so much. It was an honor to work with you, so I thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and buy my shirts on prowrestlingtees.com/Priscilla Kelly. Buy my
Hey,
shirts.
and if you're watching this on YouTube, I will link everything that Priscilla Kelly just said in the description. Her socials, her PWTs, anything. Just click the link, support her. She's fantastic. Get on the bandwagon now if you're not already on the bandwagon. And I do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.